From a Brooklyn kid raised by a single mother to a Marine Corps veteran turned multiple six-figure entrepreneur, Edgar Zavala's journey reads like a blueprint for rewriting your future. The man standing here today, a three-time award-winning business coach, wealth strategist, and leader, is living proof that your past does not determine your trajectory. What changed his life wasn't luck, but discipline, leadership, and a refusal to accept the limits handed to him. Edgar built his business from the ground up, going from the structure of military life to the uncertainty of entrepreneurship. Edgar built his business from the ground up, going from the structure of military life to the uncertainty of entrepreneurship, ultimately creating a pathway not only to financial freedom for himself, but for thousands he now mentors. He teaches people how to escape the 9-to-5 grind, build generational wealth, and break cycles that have held the families back for years. His signature frameworks, like the 5F formula, faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, remind us that success isn't just about money, but the alignment of your entire life. What makes Edgar compelling isn't the cars, the income, or the accolades. It's the mission underneath it all, empowering people to stop playing small, fire their limitations, and build a legacy their children will thank them for. His story is raw, disciplined, and deeply human. The kind that reminds you that one good year, one courageous decision can change your life forever. And before we start the episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Sanjay, a graduate of Deep Wealth Mastery, and he says, the investment I made in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it's a rounding error compared to the value created today and the future value I'll receive. Or how about William, who says, and I love this, a company that's attractive to sell is also a great one to own. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program gives me the best of both worlds. Now, speaking of growth and adding value, check out what Leon says. He says that the Deep Wealth Mastery Program changed how and who we hire. We've now begun to hire talent today that we never would have hired if it weren't for the program. The talent we're hiring today is helping both increase our growth and profits and our future enterprise value. Man, I love that kind of feedback because it's that kind of feedback that's what gets me out of bed every day. Deep Wealth Mastery System, it's the only system based on a 9-figure deal. That was my deal. And as you know, I said no to a 7-figure offer, created a system that we now call Deep Wealth Mastery. And that's what helped myself and my business partners welcome from a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. So if you're interested in growing your profits, preparing for a future liquidity event, whether that's 2 years away or 22 years away, and if you want to optimize your post-exit life, Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. Please email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. We'll send you all the information about Deep Wealth Mastery, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sales System. That's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you who are looking to create market disruptions. Whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for 3 or 4 decades, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're high-tech, SaaS, low-tech, whatever the case may be, come in and network with other business owners, with other businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. Again, that's a 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. It has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. Well, Deep Wealth Nation, let me ask you this. Where you are in your life journey, your business journey, have you achieved your goals, your outcomes, your aspirations? And you're probably saying, well, Jeffrey, some of them, but not all of them. So how do you go from where you are to where you want to be? And as you're asking that question, I have amazing news. We have a very special guest in the House of Deep Wealth. He is an incredible individual. You heard the official introduction. We have a fellow entrepreneur, a thought leader, an award-winning coach, Mr. Success written all over. So all that said, Edgar, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you with us. There's always a story behind the story. So Edgar, what is your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for having me on today. And I'm super blessed, super grateful for where I'm at now to where I used to be. So very simple. My story, it starts when you look at it, you think about it. Wow. Okay. Like his journey to where he is now and where he was, it's anybody can do it. So I'm just a guy born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, raised by a single mother my entire life. I'm first generation in American, and so I saw my mother working super hard growing up, right? And growing up in the streets of Brooklyn, I just saw everybody doing the same thing, the same habits, the same lifestyle, the same careers, the same patterns, and I was always just driven. I wanted more. We always have that thirst, that hunger to just achieve more in life. And so I took that, I put into sports and I put into my grades to just achieve more and get a challenge. But I saw my mother work super hard. She was a maid in a hotel somewhere in Manhattan, and she did it the right way. She went up the ladder, up the corporate ladder, got her raises, had the whole 9 yards, the pension, the health benefits. But yet, even though she did all that, there was still barely any food in the table or in the fridge. And I started saying, okay, why is she working so hard? She's never home. And when she is, she's tired. She wants to go to bed, but you still don't have money, food on the table. So I started growing up and I said, okay, well, hard work doesn't create a success. Hard work doesn't create wealth. It doesn't create freedom. And so right after, as I was growing up in Brooklyn, I said, well, college is not for me. I did it just to get the good grades, but I can't sit in a room and listen to a professor talk about theories and talk about, I said, and hypothesis. I said, no, I got to do something with my life. I'm the type of person where I'm a hands-on kind of guy, Jeffrey. So I enlisted in the Marines at 17 years old. I went behind my mom's back to a recruiter and I started talking to a recruiter, a Marine Corps recruiter. I said, look, if I'm gonna do the military and I'm gonna have my face in some sand or some dirt, I want it to be the hardest branch out of all of them, which is the Marine Corps. And so I did that. I showed my mom good grades as if I was going to college. So I was trying to just slow the process for my mom. And so in the summer of 2016, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I went to boot camp, did 3 months of boot camp, hit the fleet, traveled the world, went to Japan, a couple countries, came back to the US, finished my journey in the military. I wanted to do 20 years, Jeffrey, because they say, hey, if you do 20 years, the government's going to take care of you. And that sounds nice. Someone take care of you. But God had other plans for me. I got out the military. I became a wind turbine technician. So I was a blue collar guy. All I knew how to do, Jeffrey, was work with my hands. And for a lot of people listening right now, for a lot of viewers and those listening to this podcast today, you might be working hard. You might be working with your hands, right? You might be a blue collar guy. You might be a white collar. But as I was a blue collar guy, I was making about $10,000 to $12,000 a month in my early 20s, traveling all across the US. Everything was paid for, right? Company was paid for, gas was paid for by the company, but 60 plus hours a week. I never had freedom. I had the money, and a young guy with all that money, guess what, Jeffrey? What do? You don't do anything good with it. And so luckily I got blessed. And one of my brothers that I served in Japan with, he was also always entrepreneur minded, business minded, into real estate, into investing. And he introduced me to an opportunity on sales and entrepreneurship and financial services. And I said, hold up, what is this? You're telling me input equals output over here? You're telling me I can get paid by my value, not by my time? Let me jump all in. Let me see what this is about. I jumped in. I started part-time in my first 3 to 6 months in business. I'm running my own agency right there, Jeffrey. I was able to more than triple my income, become my own boss. I fired my boss and I went all in. And ever since then, been running a multiple six-figure, on track for seven-figure, and still in my 20s, living the dream.
Absolutely love that. And firstly, like we're talking offline, thank you so much for your service, for protecting the country and doing what you do so we can all do what we do. Let me ask you this, though. When you went from the Marines and then you went into the entrepreneur life, becoming your own business owner, making a difference out there, what did you take from the battlefield into the business field? Were there some lessons, some strategies, habits, or rituals?
Yeah, so very simple. In the Marine Corps, we have three main values called honor, courage, and commitment. And so number one is honor. You need to have honor in anything you do, right? So if you're trying to solve a problem, right? Because we know entrepreneurship and running a business, you got to attack a problem. You get paid in direct proportion by the difficulties you're willing to solve. And so number one is honor. Have honor in what you do. Make sure you're proud of what you're doing, that it's just not something, just not just for the money. Okay. Do you actually feel like what you're doing is going to make an impact to people? So the next one is courage. You have to have courage, honor, courage, and commitment. The second one is courage, because in the battlefield, you have to have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and go into the front lines or take care of your wounded or go straight into the fire. And then the last one is commitment, because to get good at anything, it requires a level of commitment. People say, hey, I want to be wealthy. I want to be rich. I want to make money. But people want change, but people don't want to change. The to part takes commitment. And so those values right there I really took into business. At the end of the day, in business, entrepreneurship, it means you have to lead others. At the end of the day, you can't do anything by yourself. You know what they say? Self-made millionaires, self-made billionaires, to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, you need a team. you need to lead others to be able to reach success. So those are a couple of values that I took from the military, the battlefield, and took into business.
Edgar, so happy to hear you say that because I know every time I hear someone say, "Oh, I am self-made and I'm a self-made fill in the blank, blankety blank," in my
Yeah,
mind, I'm thinking, not a chance. Nobody is
exactly.
self-made. It takes a community. It takes a team. No one does it on their own. Nobody at all. And so, with
Exactly.
that said, now that you're in business, not just for yourself, I know you're also helping other entrepreneurs, other business people from a very high level. Some people call it Pareto's Law, some fancy words there. Some people call it the 80-20 principle, where we see patterns where, hey, Jeffrey, you know what? 20% of your actions, as an example, that's what's creating 80% of your results or your revenue. When you're working with others, with other entrepreneurs, as an example, very big picture wise, are you seeing some common patterns that are holding entrepreneurs back? That, hey, wave the magic wand, I wish I could change this for people so they don't have to go through that, but they are. What would be some of those patterns?
Yeah, I would say number one is that sometimes when it comes to business owners and entrepreneurs, because we think so big, we forget about the now. And so we're thinking 10 years, 20 years. If you're serious, right, you're thinking about legacy for the ones that are serious business owners, because we know that you can't get rich. There's the people want the get quick rich scheme, and that doesn't really exist if you want to build real wealth. But a lot of people that I see that are ambitious, they're super ambitious, right? Ambitious. They're driven. They want more. They're hungry. They're thirsty. They're thinking 10, 20 years out. But unfortunately, whatever you do today is what it's going to affect tomorrow. And so I see a lot of people just skipping the right now, the small details, the systems, the numbers, what you're tracking, some of the goals, maybe quarterly goals. Because everybody says, hey, I want X amount of money. I want my business to do X amount of revenue. But hey, when you put it in a year out, you get lazy. You give yourself that wiggle room for failure. But instead, cut it up into quarters. Okay, in the first quarter, we're going to do this. Second quarter, we're going to do this. Third quarter, we're doing this. It's smaller chunks to bite to be able to attack that yearly goal. That's something that's changed my business drastically. I used to say, hey, by the end of this year, I want to have making $1 million. And so now the year, it's 12 months. So I could slow down, maybe pick it up this month, slow it down here. But when you do it in quarters, you're constantly attacking your yearly goal. So that's what I would say. I think people think too big and they forget about the now, and then cut up some of your goals or some of your those milestones into quarters instead of yearly goals. That's what I would say.
So interesting as you say that, and you are spot on as you're saying that. So many entrepreneurs, like you're saying, we tend to overestimate what we can do in, let's say, a year, a longer horizon, or more than that, and we tend to underestimate what we can do in shorter time periods. So we're going to get to legacy, financial freedom, all those wonderful things. But before we do that, let's start to set the foundation because I know you have a very powerful formula, the 5F formula. So for someone in Deep Wealth Nation, they haven't heard of the 5F formula. Edgar, what is it? What do you want us to know about that?
The 5S formula is something very powerful that's been passed on to me by a lot of amazing mentors, a lot of amazing coaches that not too many people attack, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the fulfillment formula. The 5Fs is the fulfillment formula because without one, you can't have the other. So the first one is faith. You have to believe in something, right? Because if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. And so what is your accountability? What do you look towards for accountability? And so I would say work on your faith, right? When you're alone, who do you talk to? When you're alone, who do you pray to? When you're alone, who's your guiding light? Who's your tip of the spear? Especially to lead in a leadership position. A lot of leaders want to lead, but they don't want to listen. That's the first mistake. So number one is faith. Work on your faith. That's the foundation. So first is faith. Next is family. Why is it that you're even working this hard for? Are you doing it for your parents? Are you doing it for your grandparents? Are you doing it for your kids, your grandkids? It's a legacy thing we were talking about, Jeffrey. And so it's about long term because sometimes I'll give you an example. When I'm in business and I'm talking to a 21-year-old with no kids and he's doing his own thing versus a 35-year-old with 5 kids, I'm like, the 35-year-old he's ready to just do anything, whatever it takes to succeed. The 21-year-old's like, whatever, I'll do whenever it comes around. So first is faith, then is family. Next is finance. Finance is a big one because unfortunately, without money, you can't have a good life, right? People say money doesn't buy happiness. And I agree, money can't not buy happiness, but money can buy, hey, a better diet, better healthcare, better opportunities, freedom, buy back your time. And you need money to have to resources. So faith, family, finances, fitness. Fitness is another one. Sometimes we don't take care of our health. We don't take care of our body. We don't take care of our temple. Think about this, Jeffrey. How many people do you know right now? They have all the millions, all the billions they've always desired, but they're in the hospital right now with some type of cancer or some type of terminal illness, critical illness, chronic illness. And if it was up to them, I'm sure they would trade all that money in the world to get their health back. So your health is your wealth. That's number one, because without your health, you can't get wealth. And the last one is going to be fun, which we talked about, Jeff. That's the best. That's the best F, right? Is the fun part. Have fun while you're doing this. Life is short. Life goes on like this, you know? Think about this. COVID was 6 years ago. And we know COVID was a big deal. And I feel like it was like last year, but it was 6 years ago. So faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. Those are the 5 Fs. If you do all of them and you do them, you're well balanced, you will be fulfilled. You will have everything you need in life.
And as you're saying that, it's so incredible not to dive into the headlines that we see in the news. It's so negative out there. It seems as though there are parties or forces, whatever you like to call them, I don't want this to sound ominous, that are attacking that, attacking faith, attacking the family, and having us go in a different direction. Someone who has served for the country. You've followed in the footsteps of people who gave the ultimate sacrifice for what we have with the freedom, with the democracy. What have you seen, just stepping back for a second from your service and now as you talk about faith and family and eventually financial freedom, being entrepreneurial, not relying on the government? Would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, 100%. You are absolutely right there, Jeffrey, where there's always an equal and opposite force, right? And so where there's good, there's bad. And right now, there are things happening within our country and just around the world right now that are attacking those exact same principles that lead towards life. And so faith, right? Certain people's faiths are, depending what you believe in, are being attacked right now as we speak. Finances, right? With inflation right now, the dollar is losing value. And so a lot of people are working hard, but the dollar has lost almost 94% of its value since the 70s once it got taken off the gold standard, right? I think back then for every 1 ounce of gold, it took $38 to buy 1 ounce of gold. Today, it takes $4,000 to buy the same ounce of gold, right? That's how crazy it is. When it comes to fitness, you know, our food is so processed. Our food is just so tampered with that even if you try to be healthy, you look at the back of a label and you just find some crazy stuff in there. You don't even know what it is. So your health is actually being attacked because there's a business behind that. As we know, Jeffrey, we want to go into all that. And also, the family nucleus. There's a lot of people right now that grow up without in a single parent household or they're in their foster care system or the way that the welfare program is set up, it incentivizes for not to have an actual family just because of you want a family, it's because you want money out of it. It gets real deep. And so, yes, as we speak right now, Jeffrey, every single principle I just named right now, they're being attacked by forces. And so as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we have to be the ones to step up and we can't let the government take care of us because the purpose of our founding fathers didn't build the country for the government to be big. It was supposed to be the government's, it's for the people by the people, not the other way around. And Jeffrey, trust me, I'm seeing this today. We won't even talk about what's happening in Minnesota, right? I mean, you probably heard some things happening in Minnesota. And that alone, when you start looking into stuff like that, you start realizing, man, I'm working super hard. A portion of my money goes to the government, and the government's doing things with my money that it's not going where I want it to go. So that's off topic, but yeah, Jeffrey, trust me, I can go in a rabbit hole all day with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not just a rabbit hole. It could be, and not just another episode, it could be an entire series in terms of what's there.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but it does go back to something you said very interestingly a short while back. And you said, hey, if you don't have your faith, then what do you believe in? You'll believe in anything. And oftentimes, if we just go with what people want us to do, it's not the right direction. It's taking us in the wrong areas. And having that faith, again, that's not just an episode. It could be a whole other series. So love what you're putting out there in terms of doing that. So we have some of the foundation in terms of the values, the rituals, what we should be doing day in, day out, what we could do, where we can aspire to. Talk to us now about legacy, financial freedom, because as entrepreneurs, let me help enough people get what they want. Tune into the world's favorite radio station, WII.FM, the what's in it for me, not for me, but for my customer or my future customer. Let me help enough people get what they want. Eventually, I'll get what I want. So when it comes to legacy, when it comes to financial freedom, what do you want us to know?
Yeah, well, that's an amazing question right there, Jeffrey. And I would say that at the end of the day, there's two routes to build legacy, right? Where, the reason why you see the wealthiest people in the world, like Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, the Mark Zuckerbergs, all these individuals, because they provided value to the marketplace. And the marketplace provides value back. That's just how it works. It's very, very simple. If you're changing lives, if you're making an impact into people's communities, if you're making people's lives easier, you will get paid for it. And so that's why being a business owner and entrepreneurship is the best route to build legacy. Because at the end of the day, I say like this, there's two types of building wealth and building legacy and providing value. The first one is providing a service and providing a product that makes someone's life easier. And then you can get paid for that. Whether you get someone their house they're looking for, where you help someone create a financial plan, whether you help someone have a self-driving car, they're making humanoid robots now, whatever it is. And the other one is when you show someone else how to become equipped to gain financial independence and financial freedom, that's the real legacy right there. I put it like this, Jeffrey. If you show 10 people how to make 5 figures, you will make 6. If you show 10 people how to make 6 figures, you will make 7. If you show 10 people how to make 7 figures, you will make 8. And it keeps going on and going on and going on. And so I said, wait, where can I put myself in a position where not only can I provide a service and provide a product and provide, the ability to help someone make their life easier, whether it's in their finance, in their fitness, in their 5 Fs, but also I can coach and mentor other individuals who can become just as equipped as me, just be as successful as me. And when they become successful, I become successful as well. That's what I love about the industry that I'm in, the business that I'm in. And with legacy, right now we're in the biggest wealth transfer in all of American history right now, Jeffrey. I think it's 80 to 90 trillion dollars exchanging hands as we speak over these next 5 years. And so for the leaders that step up right now, for those that want to attack and make a big impact, and you help 1% of that, there's going to be people walking away with $800 million in the next 5 years, just being a part of the biggest wealth transfer in all of American history. So pretty much like this, Jeffrey, if we equip the leaders and we give them the right values, and we show them how to go into the right direction and make an impact to the marketplace, these next 5 years, we're going to have the most multi-millionaires, most billionaires ever in American history. And I'm excited to be part of that process to equip other people to get a piece of the pie.
And so, with that said, Edgar, why don't you walk us through some of what you do, your magic sauce, if you will? So, I'm coming to you, okay, Edgar, seeing what you've done and heard all these success stories. Yeah, sign me up. I want to go through that. And I know, Edgar, everyone has their own journey. No two people are going to be like, no two businesses are going to be alike. That said, though, generally speaking, what would I expect in terms of, okay, how long does it typically take? What results am I going to expect? Where would be some, people call them problems, I call them opportunities that
Absolutely.
I'm going to be facing along the way? What does that look like? Walk us through that.
Yeah. So I would say in my world, number one, the biggest hurdles that people are going to have to overcome is themselves. Is their mental blocks on what can be possible and what cannot be possible. Because a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves. Can I do this? Can I do that? Is that for me? Should I do this? And the shoulda, woulda, coulda is what stop people from even jumping in the first place and taking the leap forward. And so in my industry, it's funny. I tell people, when you get involved with me, number one, worst case scenario, we equip you, we get you certified to do business. But best case scenario, I said, those that get involved with me, you learn more about money, you learn more about finances, you learn more about legacy, you learn more about business entrepreneurship and leadership, and you turn your annual income into your monthly income. Here we have people making multiple 6 figures in a month. We have people making multiple 6 figures in a week. We even have people making multiple 6 figures in a day. We have a guy right now, he's 31 years old. He just made almost 400 grand in one day. That's what's happening right now. We have guys right now in our industry, they're veterans, and they're getting out they're getting out the military. And normally, back in the day, you would get out and you would mope around for quite some time. You'd be depressed, looking for an opportunity, looking for a job. No one's hiring. The job market is terrible right now. But we just had a guy right now. He, after doing a couple years in the Navy, he just got out. His first 6 months in our business, being coached and mentored by us, he made 6 figures. He made 100 grand his first 6 months in business with us, just using his military skills and transferring it over, like the same thing that I told you before, Jeffrey. And so I would say with me, it's super simple. Number one, everybody's different. Everybody's different only because not everybody's the same on how they're going to perform, what they're going to achieve in our business. But I would say that if you put your mind to it, if you can see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. And so if you feel like you're someone that you're like, hey, I mean, I'm tired, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I want to double my income, I want to triple my income. Well, guess what? You just need to find the right circle, the right platform, and the right leadership team to make that a possibility for you.
Let's talk about two things. And actually, you referenced them just now. And one is leadership, the other is legacy. Why don't we start with legacy first? And I know for legacy, we can use the same word. It means different things to different people. Let's take money out of legacy. And so legacy without money from your world, not just for yourself, you're helping countless others change their lives, change the lives of those around them, make a better life. What does legacy mean for you?
Legacy means that eventually, right morals, the right values, the right mindset will be passed on to generations. And then eventually it's no longer going to be about me. For me, at least, right? What I want to do is I want to create a bunch of people who are just as good, if not better than me, and they forget about me. That's what legacy is. When, it's not about me at the end of the day. I want 10 generations from now to be 10 times better than me and don't even know who I am. That's what legacy is for me. That's true legacy. And those are individuals who are really contributing back to society and really making a difference. And again, they're continuing that cycle of like, they just know that they have to pass on the torch to somebody else and keep it going. Because, we have a thing called generational curse. We have a thing called generational debt. Right now, people have generational curses. They don't have generational legacy. And so that's what legacy is to me. When eventually I'm out of the picture, it's no longer about me. I say all the time right here, Jeffrey, I say, first I do, then you watch. Then I do, and then you help. Then you do, then I help. Then you do, then I watch. And then you do, and then I'm not even there anymore. That's my
Yeah.
mantra.
And what's interesting about that, before we get to the leadership side, when we're talking about legacy, as you're describing that, it's taking me back to the founding fathers. And I would say this is what they had in mind when they created our country. And at the same time, when we fast forward to today, how many people are, well, it's the government's fault. It's not my fault. It's the government's fault. It's someone else's fault. I'm not going to take accountability. And the list just goes on and on with that. And hearing you say that, it's refreshing. Let me have the next generation better than me. And 5 generations, 10 generations down, they are so grounded. They are so successful in what they're doing. It doesn't matter whether they know me or not because I started that. It started with me and it went from one to the other. So when it comes to leadership, I'm asking you, from someone who's been in the services and now in the entrepreneurial world, what does leadership mean for you? And as you're speaking about that, we'll then transition into, for Deep Wealth Nation, what would be the takeaways from what leadership means for you, from what you saw from the services, and how we should aspire to be leaders today, tomorrow, and beyond?
Yeah, so I would say, Jeffrey, that's a great question. I would say leadership is very simple. For everybody listening right here today, number one, leadership means that you have to become better to provide value to someone else. You have to constantly be developing in order to, they say, you can't fill someone else's cup until you fill your own. When you look at a cup and you're putting water into it, eventually it overflows. Once it overflows, you can put another cup under it and that cup starts filling up as well. So you cannot fill someone else's cup until you fill your own. And so as a leader, you constantly have to get better. I put like this in numerical value. If your leadership level is a 7, you can only lead 6 and below. You can't lead an 8 or a 9. If you're a 6, you can only lead 5 and below. You can't lead a 7, 8, 9, or a 10. Make sense? And so what happens when your leadership level is a 4 and you come across a 9, and that 9 could potentially change a lot of people's lives, but you can't lead that individual. But I also say leadership, all leading is making someone else make a decision that's best for them that they wouldn't have made without your guidance. That's all leadership is. It's making someone make a decision for themselves that they wouldn't have made on their own, that's been their best interest because of you. That's what leadership is. There's a difference between manipulation and leadership. Manipulation means you're making someone else make a decision that's in your best interest. Leadership is you're making someone else make a decision that's in their best interest. That's simple. That's just what leadership is.
And for the entrepreneur in Deep Wealth Nation, Edgar, and for so often, and I've been there myself, so many entrepreneurs, the business is them. It doesn't run without that entrepreneur. So in other words, if they got abducted by aliens and you came back a day later, a year later, there'd be no business. Yeah. So when it comes to leadership, clearly, no judgment here. Clearly, there are some things that particular entrepreneur can be doing to pick up the leadership game. So what would that be? What advice or strategies would you give to that person whose business is completely and entirely dependent on that one entrepreneur, that nothing happens unless the founder is involved in that? How do they get out of that?
I would say that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part is for a leader to let go. Keyword, let go. And it's called delegation. You have to delegate. You have to delegate. It's hard. Even me, even I've had those issues. I'm not perfect. For all the people listening, like, man, this guy seems like he's got it together. No, I've had a very hard time in my leadership journey and my business ownership, in my business and entrepreneurship journey of letting go. In the military, it's a little bit easier, right? Because in the military, you have ranks. And so when you can distinguish yourself by your rank. If you're a lance corporal, you listen to a corporal. If you're a corporal, you listen to a sergeant. If you're a sergeant, you listen to a staff sergeant. But once you're an entrepreneur, once you're a business owner, there is no ranks. People are not walking around with ranks on their collars and you're like, hey, Jeffrey, you're a corporal, I'm a sergeant. You have to listen to me. No. In business world, you have to earn someone's respect. The biggest thing is number one is delegate, let go, and have more people shadow you. Invite them to lunch. Have them hang around you when you're in certain meetings, you're in certain board meetings, you're making certain big decisions. And also follow the 80-20 rule. Take 20% of your time and invest it into your 80 percenters, meaning the people that you feel like they're just there and they're not really involving in your mission, in your company, but then take 80% of your time and invest it into your 20 percenters, the ones who you know that they're going to carry the torch and they're all about the mission, they're committed, they're loyal, and they're hungry. So I would say those are the big three takeaways. Delegate more, aka let go, have people shadow you more, and then follow the 80-20 rule. Invest 20% of your time into your 80 percenters and invest 80% of your time into your 20 percenters.
And Edgar, I want to circle back to something that you said. And coming from the services, I've been very fortunate on the podcast. We've had other veterans who have come on and said something very similar. Jeffrey, just because I was a leader of a particular group when I was back in the service, they didn't have to respect me. In fact, they probably didn't. I had to earn the respect. I wanted to. I didn't have to. I wanted to earn the respect first so that they would then respect me, not the other way around. Just because I had some fancy title and I was technically above them, everything else, I went out of my way to earn it. So when we take that now into the business world, we're saying there's worlds, and on paper, it sounds easy enough. Sure, earn other people's respect so they'll respect you, even though they report into you or they're your team members, otherwise known as employees. Practically speaking, though, I see such a disconnect where people just aren't doing that. Entrepreneurs aren't doing that. They're not earning it. So what could we do based on your experience, both in the services now, you're leading your own teams, you're changing lives out there. How do we earn our team members' respect from those around us? They, yes, technically we're perhaps above them, but it's one thing for technically to follow us versus, yeah, I want to, I choose to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I would say number one is humility. We need to have a lot of humility because at the end of the day, we're all people. And so people go off of energy. And so if you're someone who feel like if you carry that energy where you feel like people have to listen to you, well, people are going to feel it. They're going to know, hey, this person thinks they're better. He thinks he's better than us or thinks that owns us, right, in a way. And so I would say have a little bit of humility. So in everything you do, humble yourself and work on an equal playing field with them as well. Some people might be struggling in a certain field in your business or in your company. And so put yourself in their shoes and be like, okay, why are they struggling with this? Let me get in their shoes and see, okay, what can we do to make this person better or bring them up? And then I would also say that be a do-it-first leader. That's the number one thing in my business, in my industry. I have to be a do-it-first leader because if I'm not in the meetings, if I'm not closing deals, if I'm not making money, if I'm not changing people's lives, if I'm not going out there and prospecting and talking and shaking hands and doing all that, well, how do I have the moral authority to tell my brokers, my mentees, and those who I'm coaching, hey, go out there and go and make an income, go close that deal, go prospect, go shake that hand. They don't look at that right there. They believe in what they see. And so as a leader, you have to go do it first. I'd say that's the biggest thing. Just be a do it first leader and be humble while you're doing it.
And while you're talking about that from a leadership side, and we're looking as founders, as business owners, I'm going to put something out there that for some may be somewhat controversial. And I used to be in this camp where I said to myself, okay, my business, that's my financial freedom. I do my business right. I'm going to get my financial freedom. And yes, that is the case. At the same time, though, there's other things that I could be doing that I don't have to be working, quote unquote, so hard. I can be working smarter, have my money working for me. It's not just going to be in the business. And so I know from what you're doing, from the industry that you're in, how you're also helping others in different industries as well as your own industry. For that founder who's thinking, yes, my business is my ticket to financial freedom. And yes, it is. What would you want them to think about, though, to help, I don't know if diversify that risk or have the money or wealth work for them instead of the other way around? What would you tell that entrepreneur?
I always tell those entrepreneurs, number one, be in a position where, well, number one, have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up, somewhere be liquid just in case something happens with your business. Because there's been times in my business where things aren't always going right and you're not always going to be cashing in or having that income from your business working. As an entrepreneur, you've been there. We've all been there before, Jeffrey. I'm sure of it. We've had to tap into other sources and other means to just stay afloat, to keep attacking our business. So number one, if you're a business owner, if you're a founder, or if you're still growing, have at least 3 to 6 months somewhere just in case to back up. But I would say for those who have recurring income, who are really generating income in their businesses, I would tell them, number one, diversify your income by number one, putting your money where banks put their money. And so for me as an expert, I show people how to put their money where banks put their money. So number one, they can grow without volatility. They grow their money tax free. They can pull loans from themselves. And so they can use a thing called positive arbitrage where they can pull a loan, invest into their business, makes money. They're still earning interest in these accounts. And get, again, God forbid something happens to them, everything gets paid off. And so Start understanding what other tools or strategies exist that give you leverage. All right. Because I don't believe in locking up your money into a traditional retirement account like a 401k or an IRA, because there's a lot of tax liabilities with that. Sure, you might get some interest, but remember, now you got to wait X amount of years to not avoid that early withdrawal penalty. Make sense? And so I tell people, if you're a business owner right now and you have recurring income and you're cash flowing, put your money where banks put their money, and we call that infinite banking. Jeffrey, maybe you've heard of that before, but it's called infinite banking, where you get to grow your money tax free, you get to leverage some tax codes, you get to pull loans against yourself, you get to earn interest twice in the same dollar, you avoid volatility, and you essentially become your own bank.
And Deep Nation, as you're hearing this, you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much to learn. Actually, it isn't. When you file your taxes, are you learning the tax code? Are you filling out the tax form? And I'm sure someone in Deep Nation is probably saying, actually, yeah, Jeffrey, I do. But hey, you heard the exception from most of us. We're going to the right kind of advisor. And this is where someone like Edgar could help you out, answer those questions, get you on the right path. Let Edgar do what he and the team do best so you can do what you do best with your team. And again, it's working smart, not hard in that regard. And you've shared some terrific strategies with us. So Edgar, before we go into wrap-up mode, let me ask you this. Is there either a question, topic, or theme that we haven't yet covered that you'd like to share with Deep Wealth Nation?
I guess the big question is most people are asking is, okay, I'm getting all this information, but what's the first step? Or what's the first thing I should do? Or what's the next thing I should attack? Because everybody wants the why, but once you understand the why, which is making more money, building a business, is the how. Where do I start? What's the first step? How do I get involved? How do I build wealth? How do I become successful? How can I become first leader? I guess that the question is how.
What's the how? What very high level. What's that? Yeah, you set that up beautifully. Yeah, so you threw me a softball there. What's the how?
I would say, Jeffrey, the number one how, at least in my world, number one is get connected with me. Right? For those that are looking for more questions, looking for more answers, get connected with me and start getting the right books. Start changing your mindset, right? Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, Elon Musk, autobiography, things of that nature, and the Four Agreements. So look at all these different books to change your mind. Get connected with me. And then from there, learn how to get equipped, learn how to get licensed, learn how to get certified, learn how to open up a business, learn how to provide value and what industry, what market do you want to get involved in and become an expert in? Because everybody says millionaires have 7 income streams. We heard that saying, right, Jeffrey? Everybody says that. But remember, they focus on one and then they diverse into the other 6. So get good at that one thing. And if you're someone that's listening to right now to this podcast, and you haven't found the one thing, or maybe you're building something, you're not finding success there, but you want to become wealthy, you want to become successful, get connected with me and I can teach you step by step on how to make that happen and change your mindset, make you a better leader, and you build the 5F formula and find real financial freedom.
And Deep Wealth Nation doesn't really get any easier. And Edgar will walk you through step by step what's involved with that. So some great advice there. And so, Edgar, that said, we're going to go into wrap up mode. It's a tradition here in the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's both my privilege and my honor where I ask every guest the same question. So let me set this up for you. Imagine now it's the movie Back to the Future. And in the movie, you have that wonderful DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. And so, Edgar, here's the fun part. It's tomorrow morning, you look outside your window, not only is the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open, waiting for you to hop on in, which you do, and you're now going to go to any point in time. Edgar, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be, what would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Edgar, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
Wow, that's an amazing question, man. I'm looking outside my window right now, seeing what's out there, like seeing the DeLoreans out there. That would be such a cool thing. I think number one, I would go back to that moment where I was struggling between staying in the military or getting out. That point in time. I honestly, Jeffrey, that was my turning point. That moment where I was in uniform and I'm loyal to the military. I'm loyal to my Marines. I'm loyal to the cause. I'm mission driven. I'm athletic. I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy. And so I'm in that moment where I'm thinking about, should I put in a reenlistment package and do another 20 years? Or should I get out? Take what the military taught me and go and be successful somewhere. And I wish in that moment, someone would have came and said, hey, make this decision. Do this. Do that. And if I can go back in time, I would tell myself, skip the blue collar part and go be a business owner. Just skip the blue collar part. All I did for 3 years, Jeffrey, was honestly just break my joints and just break my back and be full of grease and oil. It didn't really do anything for me. It's just an adult jungle gym. So I wish I could go back in time and that moment, be like, hey, get out the military, get into entrepreneurship. Put your
Mhm.
back against the wall.
So really what I'm hearing you say is just do it. If I can borrow that expression from another very well-known company, just do it. Follow your
Just
dreams. Don't wait.
just get into entrepreneurship. Just jump in because entrepreneurship, it is scary because it's you. And it's there's no safety net, but also it forces you to become better. And so I wish, because I was those 3 years of being blue collar was delaying. I was delaying the inevitable. I still had that cushion, the health benefits, the dental, the retirement plan, the 9 to 5, the consistency. And so I say, just rip the band-aid off, guys, and jump in, do it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's human nature. It's just so easy. Yeah, I'll look at it in 6 months or in a year, but life happens. We get busy. We
Yeah.
get caught up in things. Okay, you know what? Another 6 months. And before we know it,
Yeah.
decades go back. But hey, you didn't let that happen. You jumped in, you did do it. Congratulations with that. And Edgar, someone in Deep Wealth Nation, they have a question for you. They want to speak with you. Where would be the best place online to find you?
I would say the best place right now, number one, is on Instagram. You can follow me at the Edgar Zavala on Instagram. So TheEdgarZavala. Very simple. And there's a link in my bio. You can click there. You can see other interviews that I've had. So you can get different ideas of my personality, different questions, amazing hosts like Jeffrey himself. And also you can learn more about what is it that I'm doing, my industry, the business that I'm in, the steps that it takes to be successful. And you can book a one-on-one with me, ask me more even personal questions and see if you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you to work together to make an impact and create that legacy that me and Jeffrey were talking about. So it's the easiest way.
And Deep Wealth Nation, it doesn't get any easier. Go to the show notes. It's all point and click. We have it there for you. Well, that said, Edgar, congratulations. It's official. This is a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribes, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.